These home builders are really beginning to cut prices, especially down here in Florida. Many of these listings have price cuts as high as $20, $30, $40, even $54,000 on this listing was the recent price cut. And in this video, I'm going to show you why these builders are cutting the prices here in Florida and how much more the prices could fall. Because make no mistake, everyone, we are in the beginning stages of a housing crash here in Florida. The inventory, it's skyrocketing. The demand, it's dropping. And the result is that these builders are now sitting on more and more completed unsold homes in a situation that is now starting to be eerily reminiscent to what we saw in 2006, 2007, right before that last big crash in 2008. Because let me show you something, folks. Home builders here in the South, they have now about 300,000 homes for sale. And that is the highest level we've seen since 2006. You can see how the homes for sale in the South have just gone up like a hockey stick. The supply, the inventory, it's gone crazy. And it's this skyrocketing inventory that tends to be the signal to you guys out there as home buyers, investors, or sellers that prices are about to drop. Now, the prices are already really starting to drop in this area here south of Tampa. I showed you that listing over there. The builder, KB Homes, has done a $54,000 price cut, taking the list price from $490,000 down to $437,000. For a 4-bed, 3-bath house that's 2,600 square feet, that's pretty nice on the inside, everyone. But in general, the prices here in Florida are gonna have to go down by a lot before we find an equilibrium in the market, before the buyers come back in. Because data on ReVenture app is showing that home prices in Florida are currently 30% overvalued from their long-run norms. You can see here on the historical overvaluation graph that this was not the case 4 years ago. 4 years ago, home prices in Florida were fairly valued. Now they're in a big bubble. And when the prices go in a big bubble like they are today, it means there's lots of downside risk, especially in some of these home building sites. These builders have shown themselves to be very aggressive in cutting the price. And this is now causing the neighbors some problems, because this house here, just across the street from the one where the builder cut the price, the buyer of this house purchased it for $512,000 back in December 2023, according to data I found on PropWire. So $512,000 for that house, while this house is now at $437,000 and is brand new. So what these builders are doing, everyone, is they're just racing to sell the inventory. I mean, they don't care. If they sold you a house 6 months ago at $500,000, they'll say they'll sell the same house for $420,000 6 months later. And that's a little scary, everyone, because already we have homeowners going underwater in these home building communities. And a lot of these homeowners in these building communities, they bought with very high risk mortgages. For instance, D.R. Horton, the largest home builder in America, they just released their quarterly financials and they revealed that over 50% of their home purchases are financed with either VA or FHA mortgages. Those are the government-backed mortgages where people put about 0 to 3% down. That's a majority of the financing in D.R. Horton communities. So then what happens if D.R. Horton cuts the price by 5 to 10% in some of their communities? That means immediately those homeowners are underwater because their down payments were so low. Hey,
how you doing?
Good, how are you? Have you lived in this community for a while?
Just since February.
Since February, so pretty recent.
Yeah.
You like it?
No, not really.
No? Is it all the traffic that comes down this way? I feel like I've seen 7 cars already come down this way and turn around.
Yeah, I don't know. That really doesn't bother me. It's just the whole area. But like these people backed out, so this house is sitting.
When did they back out?
Probably about a month ago.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then these people were supposed to move in, and they haven't moved in either.
So I wonder about these sold signs, because I'm like, I've driven around, a lot of them over there say sold, and I just say to myself, like, are they all actually sold?
Well, just because they're sold doesn't mean they're sold, because this one was sold too. You know, if they put a $7,000 deposit down, they can get out of it, you know?
That's true. And then there's one on the end.
That's been sitting for a long time.
They just got the price $54,000.
Yeah, it's crazy that, you know, we bought it what we did, and now these houses they can't give them away. But the builder sucks. So.
KB Homes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like as
There's
far as
nothing that I could come out of my mouth that would be nice.
Wait,
I've
really?
been here since February, and I'm on my 3rd cabinet appointment for them to try to fix my cabinet.
Get out of here.
Yeah, they put a molding right in front of my front door because it was too short, and they put the wrong color. Like I can't even.
So they're just like, are they just slapping them together, kind of like, you know? And
well,
just...
and I was here every week, like, you know, watching it and stuff like that. But these people, like, who knows what those houses are looking like? Inspector, pre-drywall, after drywall. These people haven't, and they have so many problems with it.
Really?
Floor's
All right.
not level.
So across the street, they bought and moved in, they have problems. You bought and moved in, you have problems. They backed out. We don't know about them. They should have closed already. Down the street, they cut the price $54,000. What do you think is going to happen here in this market in the next 1 to 2 years?
I'm probably not going to be here.
Are you gonna move out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where are you gonna go?
Don't know.
It's great.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it was cheaper to build a house than it was to buy a house. You know, and it's nice that I have everything like how I wanted it, somewhat. But, you know, and then I don't have to, like, in 10 years, like, replace stuff and it's updated and all that. But it comes with a whole set of problems. I had 4 pages of stuff that they had to fix on my house.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's very much just kind of a throw it up, build it, and just like move on, sell it and move on.
Yep.
All right.
It's unfortunate, but.
All right. Well, I appreciate that insight. So everyone, I just spoke to a local that lives here on this street, and she gave me some very interesting information about this home building community. Number one, she said that her neighbor was supposedly under contract to buy the house, backed out. It's on the market again. She said the house on the other side has a sold sign in front of it. She said the person was supposed to move in, hasn't yet. Maybe that's another person who backed out. She also said she does not like living here and wants to move. And she does not think the construction quality, at least in her house, is very good. She said she's already had 4 appointments to redo her cabinets. And so, folks, this is a very real example of what you can get yourself into buying in these home building communities. In many cases, the construction quality is not great. In many cases, these builders try to throw up as many homes as possible and then cut the price significantly after you buy it. There's a lot of risk to buying these home building communities. You know, the upshot is these builders are giving aggressive mortgage rate buy downs. You know, market mortgage rate right now is around 7%. In builder communities, maybe you can get a 5.5% mortgage rate. And a lot of people are taking that, but there's a lot of risk that comes with it too. And these builders tend to be kind of a leading indicator for the economy, everyone. This is something I talked about in a previous video, but I want to update you guys actually on it. But some new data just came out today on the home builder sales figures. And home builder sales figures were weak again in June. And it was yet another month where the inventory skyrocketed. And now the months of supply on home builder lots is up to 9.1 months. That's the 5th highest level of all time. I think only 5 other times or 4 other times has builder months of supply, which takes the inventory and divides it by the sales. Has it been this high? There's only been 4 other times where it's been this high. And interestingly, almost every other time builder supply has been this high, we've had a recession shortly thereafter. And I think more and more you gotta weight that into your analysis of where the market is heading. Because a lot of people right now, I think, are making a mistake. And they're making a mistake of doing this. They're looking at the fact that the Federal Reserve is likely to cut interest rates at the end of 2024 as a positive for the economy. But rather, what tends to happen historically, everyone, is that when the Fed cuts, it's because there's an incoming recession and things get worse. And the fact actually that the Fed hasn't cut interest rates yet is pretty crazy, because the unemployment rate's gone from 3.4 to 4.1%. Normally, after that type of increase, the Fed would have already cut rates, but they haven't. Suggesting that they could be a bit behind the curve on rate cutting, obviously because they want to make sure inflation isn't going to come back. But all that adds up to increased risk of job losses and a spiking unemployment rate, which of course is not going to be good for the housing market. And so you're going to have to weigh the risk of recession, increased job losses against lower interest rates and making your determination. But of course, it all comes down to your market, everyone. What are the inventory and price cut trends in your market? You can look at that data on Reventure app. I'm going to show you later in this video how to analyze the inventory and price cut trends so you can see where your market is heading into the future. But first, I want you folks to take a look at this listing here, because this is, you know, an example of what I've warned you guys about and what I hope many of you avoided. The owner of this house purchased this home about a year ago for $443,000 from the builder. They then immediately tried to flip it for a profit. It's been on the market since then. They've had to cut the price to $438,000. So this owner has now cut the price $5,000 below what they bought it for a year ago, which means that in actuality, they're probably going to lose $35,000 because there's about $30,000 in closing costs and realtor fees on top of their initial purchase price that they had to pay. So this owner is already in the hole 35 grand. And that's if they sell it at the current price. Their last price cut was in April. They still haven't sold it. They're probably gonna have to cut the price by more. Now they're trying to rent it. Something in the description about rent to own. You know, a lot of sellers do this on the housing market, everyone. Like when it becomes obvious that things are going down, they'll pull out, you know, every rabbit out of the hat. Mortgage rate buy down, rent to own, all that type of stuff. The reality is the value of this house is gonna go down by even more. And this owner, everyone, according to PropWire, has a 7.1% mortgage rate, everyone. 7.1% mortgage rate. House looks like it's empty. It's been on the market for a year. They're already losing $35,000. More and more people, unfortunately, are in that situation. And this is what I've warned you guys about the last couple of years. And a lot of people didn't, you know, take me seriously. They said, oh, Nick, you're always predicting a crash. It's not gonna happen. Well, it's happening right now in Florida, everyone. Things are getting very real in this housing market, and they're gonna get more real into the future because the prices are still very high. They're starting to come down. A lot of owners are starting to lose money. A lot of sellers are starting to lose money, but there's still a ways to go given the heavy overvaluation. And short of some massive intervention by the government and the Federal Reserve, I don't see a way that this crash in Florida is avoided, particularly in these builder sites, everyone, because there's another headwind for the home builder sites, and it's this. It's the fact that the builders have aggressively used mortgage rate buy downs for the last 2 years to facilitate their sales. Those people who bought with mortgage rate buy downs over the last 2 years, a lot of them now are looking to sell. And they can't sell their mortgage rate buy down in most cases. And so imagine like you bought a house for 450 grand from the builder a year and a half ago, and you got a mortgage rate buy down from 7 to 5. But now you're looking to move and sell. Well, you can't sell that 5% mortgage rate, meaning that the price of your house at $450,000 is gonna have to go way down at the market mortgage rate of 7%. And so we're now seeing a lot of these buy downs start to kind of come back to bite the owners who use them, especially those owners who are now looking to sell 2 years after taking the buy down. It looks like, yeah, you're gonna have to cut the price if you're one of those people. And you know, it's not just in Florida, everyone. This same template of overbuilding and aggressive mortgage rate buy downs being used and overvaluation, it exists also in Tennessee, in Texas, and parts of Georgia, and parts of Colorado and Utah. It's across a lot of the US housing market. We're seeing this same situation play out. And in order to understand the risk factors in your market and what you should do as a buyer or seller, you got to understand 2 key data points. One is just the inventory trends. How does the inventory in your zip code compare to the historical norm? Like in this zip code here in Parrish, Florida, south of Tampa, inventory is 340 homes. The long-term average is like 190. So we are in this massive supply glut driven heavily by the builders and people now moving back and selling their homes. If you see that inventory situation in your market, know that it's very likely that prices drop and potentially drop by a lot. But you want to combine that inventory analysis with the overvaluation analysis, because the more overvalued prices are in your area, also the greater likelihood that they drop into the future, because it means that prices have disconnected more from incomes. And so the higher the overvaluation mixed with higher inventory, that tells you bigger risk of a decline. And you can actually use the filters tab on ReVenture app to isolate the cities, counties, and zip codes that have the highest inventory levels, highest inventory surplus, and the highest overvaluation. These would be the markets at the biggest risk of declining prices. Conversely, areas with the lowest inventory and lowest overvaluation would have the least likelihood of prices dropping, or maybe prices keep going up. So head to www.reventure.app and sign up for a premium plan. The cost is $39 a month, so you can gain access to that inventory surplus and overvaluation data for your area, so you can make a more informed decision and potentially avoid losing lots of money buying into the housing market like some of the people I've shown you in this video.